Okay, so welcome back to the foundation. It's vitally important that before you start this section, that you hire a lawyer. I'm giving you advice, I'm showing you things out there, but this is not legal advice. This is not tax advice. Please, for the love of everything holy, hire an accountant, hire a lawyer. Sit down with someone who understands what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go, and spends the effort to do this. I'm telling you, this will save you the couple $100s that you have to spend doing this, will save you tens of thousands of dollars in the future. Please do not take this as your legal advice. This is absolutely the disclaimer. Do not take this as legal advice. Go get proper counseling. Go get proper counsel. Get a lawyer, get an accountant, sit down. We're going to go into how to set up the business here, but for the love of everything holy, this is not a replacement for your hiring a lawyer. This is for educational purposes. Whew. Okay, moving on. Okay, setting up the essentials for running your business. Guys, there's a lot of stuff. This is going to be really boring in this section. I'll try and get through it as quickly as I can. The question you're asking before I even start is, well, should I open this type or that type or this type? Well, listen, it depends on where you're located. It depends on your country. It depends on what your laws are. It depends on all of those things. If there was any section that I would say, hey, skip it and just go hire a lawyer, this would be it. I'm going to try my best to limit my opinions about the topic, but it's vitally important you understand that in this situation, you want to hire a lawyer. You want to hire an accountant and someone that's going to be on your side. So with that said, setting up legal and administrative things. Listen, we've covered a lot so far. There's a lot we've gone over, from UVP to MVP to lots of acronyms. It's vitally important that you understand your niche and your ideal customer. Those are things that you deeply have to figure out on your own, right? This is something you get to decide. However, there's a whole other world that you just don't get to decide, okay? About how to set things up and what the administrative and legal things are. Now remember, I'm in the United States, so I'm gonna tell you stuff from my point of view. If you're not in the United States, feel free to take the pass and move on away from this module. If you're in the United States, again, this is educational purposes only, okay? I can't stress this enough. We almost did not put this in the course, but moving on, let's get into it. First off, the main reason you're going to go through and you're going to register your business and become a business versus a privately owned thing is lawsuits. That's it, guys. Really, really simple. If you make a product that accidentally is a pen and someone swallows it and they die, you want them to go after your legal entity, not you. That's the main reason to do this, right? It helps you avoid legal problems. It helps establish you as a legitimate business. It brings trust to your suppliers, your customers, your employees. It allows you to brand, because you don't want to brand just your name, you want to brand something else. And it opens up opportunities to work with other businesses. However, above and beyond all of this, the number one thing is you don't get sued. That's the main reason to do this, and there's different ways. Now, we're going to cover the essentials. We're going to go over a bunch of stuff, but please understand, you need to make sure you have someone else doing this, okay? It's important. We divided this section up into lots of areas about new businesses and how, again, each country has different laws. We're going to cover the basic essentials, but in no way, shape, or form is this to replace real legal true counsel. So let's get into it. When you have a legal entity for your business, imagine you're putting a force field around you and separating it. It becomes two very separate things. Now, when you're going to go do this, you want to come up with a name that makes sense and that reflects your brand, and we can go into branding another time, but the main idea is that when you separate the two, it's something that you're going to be married to. It's something that you're going to say over and over and over. Now, when I first created my business, I created it as CJS Solutions. Because when I sat down with my lawyer and my team, I didn't know in 1997, 98, I didn't even know what a business was. I didn't know it. I didn't come up with a name. So my lawyer was like, forget it, CJS Solutions, which my name is CJS. So it's like CJS Solutions. My businesses operate as DBAs, or doing business as. So you can always add that in there. For example, my IT company was called Your IT Group, because it was not, so no one wanted to speak to my team when CJS was the main person in charge. So I had to rename it, so doing it. But you want to make sure when you choose a name, you have the identity and everything that comes with it. Here's a fun little catch though, guys. You have to make sure that you have access to all of your social proof. So there's a website called NameChecker where you can go through and pick all that out. That's a little bonus material. Let's keep going. Before you decide on what business structure you're going to, there's some key things that I'm going to need you to go over, okay? Number one, how easy is it to set it up? What are the tax advantages and disadvantages? Hire an accountant. What are the potential legal liabilities? Hire a lawyer. How easy is it to liquidate the business? Do you plan to be raising capital, right? What are the regulations based off your specific niche and the specific industry? How much record keeping is required, and what happens to the business upon your death? Listen, I hope all of you live to 1,000 years old and everything is wonderful. But there's a chance that there's people listening to this there's people listening to this course right now that won't see Christmas. And I don't care when I'm making this, there's a chance that some of you won't do it. Because people don't get to sit there and say, oh, well, October 14th, 2153, I would like to die at 12 o'clock. That's not how it works. Having spent 8 years in a hospice watching people die, you don't get to choose, okay? You wake up tomorrow or the next day and you're just dead. So please make sure that you have this and all of these things. Remember the secrets though. Hire an accountant, hire a lawyer. Okay, so now that you understand that and you heard some whispers, you need to make sure. But here, let's go over these. There's a bunch that you can do. The first one is a sole proprietorship. This is the most common structure. It's commonly set up so that it's just all about personal liability. In other words, this person can't sue this person, where you're not worried about it from a legal partnership. You have to understand this won't work. A sole proprietorship does not separate you from your legal standing. So it doesn't work. I can't recall once any of my client ever being a sole proprietor. I can't recall any lawyer that I've ever had that ever has told me to become a sole proprietor. Yeah, none. I can't think of any. I'm trying to think really hard right now. But that's an option. I wouldn't recommend it. But again, I'm not recommending anything. So here are the pros and cons. Now we're going to do this for each and every one of these. Most people do sole proprietorship because they're easy to set up, right? It doesn't file a lot of stuff. Most states don't require registration. Now, if this sounds foreign to you and you're in another country, pause the video, skip to the next one. Profits are only taxed once the owner's personal tax return. The owner has complete control of the business and makes all the decisions. Tax forms are really, really simple. Assets are very easy to liquidate upon death. The cons: the owner is exposed to all legal liabilities. This is why it's very important when you're opening these that the main reason you're going to form one of these is for legal protection. This does not offer you any of that. Proprietorships cannot accept capital from outside vendors. So you can't have any VCs or venture capitalists. Borrowing money is a nightmare because remember, it's not based off your business, it's based off you. Business will be liquidated, gone, not transferred when you die. So that's important. The next one is a partnership. There's different types of partnership. We're going to go into sole proprietorship that allows a business to have more than one owner. The pros of this is they're super easy to form. A partnership can come together as a group of individuals with different talents so you can share the responsibilities of running a business. If the partnership has agreement permits, the partner could continue to exist just in case one of them dies. Mazel tov. The problem is all partners are exposed to everyone else's liabilities. Think of it like this. Imagine you guys are hanging out and every person that your friend sleeps with, automatically you are exposed to what they're exposed to. That's not good. I don't like that. I don't want to do that. That's bad. Owners will not always agree on the decisions. I got very lucky with my first business partner, a guy named Andy. Beautiful, amazing, super relationship, great guy. I would never have a partner again because I already hit a home run with Andy. Andy is a powerhouse. He offset me. It was very much yin and yang. I was this aggressive, intense alpha male. He is not, but he was highly intelligent, very, he had his emotions under control. He was very much, he stabilized the ship when I wanted to go crazy. It was very good that we had separate. Partners share in the profit, but will not always feel that they're adequately compensated. Now, for me, this is very simple. 50-50 of all profit. Period. Now, there was tons of times where I had to invest more money into the company than he did. I was okay with that because he offset that with doing more work. That was just our dynamic, okay? So when you're doing this and you have this partnership, now, our company was not a partnership company. Legally, it was not. It was an unwritten agreement that him and I had. I would not enter into a legal one. The next one is an LLC. An LLC is a limited liability company. Are you concerned about unlimited liability, risk, and all of that? You want to form an LLC. Now, most of everything that I've done is in either what's known as an LLC or an S Corp, which we'll get into that. The pros of an LLC or limited liability corporation: the owner's liability is separate. Therefore, my assets, my things are protected mostly protected from judgments and companies and debts. I can choose how I pay taxes. I can choose how when I do them. Most states don't have LLCs requiring annual meetings. Here in Florida, we do. An LLC is not required to have a board of directors. Thank God. The number of shareholders is unlimited, and you can create your own shares because you're not being sold on stock exchange. The legal and accounting costs are higher because there's a lot more paperwork to do. It's worth the $600 I spend every year. LLCs must file articles of incorporation with the state. You need to do this every single year. Again, here in the state of Florida, it's worth $150, $20, whatever it is. Owners must create operating agreement that defines management authority and limits to making decisions. So there are some rules and regulations as you start having more shareholders. In some cases, an LLC will cease to exist on the death of a member. Again, that depends on your state. It depends on the operating agreement. It depends on a lot of things. Again, hire a lawyer, hire an accountant. Next, with that said, let's talk about a C Corp. A C Corp is a legal entity that is completely separate from the shareholders who own the stock in the company. It has the authority to enter into contracts and buy and sell property. A corporation can sue other parties, but it can also be sued. Okay, so this changes the ballgame a little bit. So again, really quickly, let's go through the pros and cons. Pros of having a C Corp. Owners do not have personal liability for debts of the corporation. A shareholder only risks the amount of the investment of the company. Super. A lot of fun. Has more access to financial resources. A corporation can sell stock to raise capital, obtain bank loans, issue bonds, all of that. Corporations are better to attract more talent and more skilled employees than proprietorships. The corporations continue to exist even if the stockholder lives or dies. The problem is a C Corp is the most complex business structure and requires a lawyer to set it up. Earnings also can be subject to double taxation. That's a big one. So again, what's the magic secret? Hire a lawyer, hire an accountant. That's how this works, guys. You want to hire people who are smarter than you that went to school and paid six figures for their thing and are going to be punished by it. And they have that dynamic of they had to deal with all that money to make the decisions for you. If you're not a lawyer or an accountant, hire ones. Please, for the love of everything holy. The next one is S Corps. S Corps get the benefits of the tax benefits of a sole proprietor, and they get the liability of the C Corps and the LLCs, right? Super duper. Almost all my companies are S Corps. I'm just telling you now. Avoids double taxation by passing the income through the owners. The structure of an S Corp protects the personal assets of the shareholders. Lenders are more willing to make deals with S Corps. Articles of incorporation must be filed with the state. An S Corp has a limit of 100 shareholders. It can only have one type or class of stock. The benefits provided by the company or the shareholder employers are taxable as compensation. So there's a lot of things in here that make it good or bad. So please understand, hire a lawyer, hire an accountant. My lawyer and my team handle all of this. I don't do any of this. Why? I didn't go to law school. They did. They got the six figures of debt that they had to pay off. Pay them. Get out of their way. They speak a language which is called lawyer, and I don't speak lawyer. It's English. When it comes to your choice of how you're going to set this up and how this looks and what's going for, please don't stress about it. Sit down with a lawyer. I would recommend if it's your first one, get 2 different opinions on it. Don't listen to your family. Don't listen to your friends. Don't listen to some guy giving you educational material on Instagram or on Facebook. Or don't do that. Sit down, talk to some lawyers, sit with them, get 2 separate arguments, pay the extra couple $100. It's going to save you a fortune. I know people who have built unbelievable empires and have it all stolen away from them because they didn't have the right legal protection behind them, okay? The next thing, taxes. Let me tell you a story about taxes, at least here in the United States. One year I filed taxes, and I forgot to tell my accountant about a certain set of dividends that I got from a very specific stock. By doing that, I turned around and I was like, oops, we got a letter where I got a letter from the IRS that says, hey, we got this letter, you owe us this amount of money. I went to my accountant. My accountant used to be an IRS auditor. He used to work for the IRS, which is the Internal Revenue Service. I said, hey, I have to, what do I do with, they're going to audit me. He's like, you write him a check. I'm like, okay, we're going to fight it? He's like, no, you never fight the IRS. The IRS says give you money, you pay the money. You don't try and cheat. There are lots of legal ways to pay less in taxes. And you hire a good accountant to keep you legal. People are like, oh, well, there's the black and the white and the gray and you stay. No, don't play gray. Make enough money that the taxes don't matter, guys. Seriously, it's very important. People are like, oh, it's on this edge or that edge. It's either black or white, or I can sneak by. Don't sneak by. Don't sneak by. No, there's only two things in life that happen: death and taxes. Pay the damn taxes. Don't cheat the system. If you're like, oh my God, I'm losing so much money, go make more money, you goobers. Go learn and invest in assets that reduce it legally. You legally can pay zero in taxes if you do this effectively with the right lawyer, with the right accountant. However, you have to buy very specific things and understand tax law on a high level. So please hire someone to do this. When it comes to taxes, there's a couple things. Your state, your government will have very specific laws. They will charge you to pay taxes. Do not cheat on your taxes. You're going to need to get a tax ID. You're going to need to start doing some very specific things. So, insurance. As you're opening a business, you're going to have insurance to cover your liabilities. If you have a business that has a physical brick and mortar, you will need that to be insured. If you're doing other things, you will need to have disclaimers. This includes your staff. This includes all. There is insurance. This is a big expense that nobody thinks about when they're starting a business. Like, oh, I'm just going to start a business and there's no expensive. Yeah, wait till you have employees. Wait till you have people who are 1099 versus W-2. There's a lot of taxes. I could spend months just on this. For you, don't worry about it. Hire an accountant. Get out of their way. So, what if you're a coach? What if you're a consultant? What if you do that? What if you're service-based? Guess what, guys? There's professional associations that can protect you with insurances, but you still need insurance. There's so many people out there that are not doing it and not protecting themselves. My stuff that I have not only has exceptional high insurance, but has legal fees already paid for. I have paid fees so I can have a team of lawyers fight any lawsuit that comes at me. We do this on purpose because people are kind of icky. Potential partners. My simple answer on this is don't do it. Okay, just don't do it. Do not go in partnership with anyone. Don't do it. It's a horrible, horrible idea. I don't like this idea, but you understand what partnerships could be. It could be a physical product. You can go and partner. I don't recommend doing that. It gets you in trouble. It is not mine. If you want to learn more about it, from every time I've seen it, it simply is not worth it. Again, hire legal advice when you're doing this. The next one, how do you protect your product? Protecting your product is done. So let's say you came up with this idea or this, intellectual product protection is what you need. Patents are for that. If you're an inventor, hire a patent. If not, expect that everything you put out there is going to be copied by someone else and just have peace with that. It is what it is. Everything that's produced is going to be appropriated by someone else. Hell, in this course, I've told you guys, and I've talked about Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is Robert Kiyosaki. I've talked about all these things on where to go and what to do because I like to refer to source. A lot of people don't like to refer to source. So please understand, if you're going to try and protect yourself, hire a lawyer. You see a theme here? It's like a theme. Hire a lawyer. Now, when it comes to your premises, when you're doing this, if you're a manufacturer, if you actually have a place where you're doing stuff, which is food or bricks and mortar, you're going to be governed by so many other different things. You're going to have health and safety regulations. You're going to have inspections. You're going to have, very specific rules on how you ship goods, how long your drivers can drive, when they can drive, what type of cars they can drive, what their load is. There is a whirlwind of things that come through when you have a physical premises, when you're offering a physical product. So please understand, if you're thinking, hey, this is my niche and I've narrowed it down and I'm going to go do this, you need to go talk to someone and say, hey, what are these extra costs, these built-in fixed costs that I have to build into my numbers? Because people are like, oh, well, why is online so much cheaper than in the store? Well, someone's got to pay for the electricity. Someone's got to pay for the air conditioning. Someone's got to pay for the insurance. Someone's got to pay. Got to pay. That's why the numbers are so different. So you got to keep an eye on that, guys. I'm serious. So what if you prefer to start your business from home? Let me give you a quick secret. If you try and deduct your house or your office at your house in your taxes, be prepared to get audited. Just be prepared to get audited. Sooner or later, you're going to get hit and they're going to eat you alive. Because if you use that room for anything other than just your business, if you use it to eat lunch or watch a TV you are going to get audited. So if they come in your house and they audit it and they see a child's toy in there, boom, you can get clocked. It's not worth it. You have to understand that people are paying business rates from your home, business purposes. There's really intense balances from this. Now, just don't try and deduct it. That's my best advice I can give you is people who sit there and try to deduct this, That's the worst thing you could possibly do, okay? You have to make sure that also whatever your business is doesn't disrupt your neighborhood, because you can have problems with the homeowners association. You can have problems with your neighbors. There's a lot of things in here, guys. So please understand that sometimes just renting that space, which will cost you a couple $100 a month, will not only not violate the laws of wherever you're living, because certain HOAs won't let you do it, but on top of that, we'll make sure you're not bothering anyone, and then you can deduct that fully, and there's not this gray area. So just understand there is some gray area here. Don't try and cheat. There are zoning laws and there are tax laws. Just be very, very careful. Please be very, very careful. Terms and conditions. Again, hire a lawyer. Anytime you offer something, there must be terms and conditions in every single thing that you do. It's a legal contract. Whenever you have anything that someone needs to sign, make sure someone who dropped 6 figures on a law degree did it for you. Don't get creative like, I'm just going to Google on the internet and I'm going to have the terms of a set of rules and guidelines. Well, they used it. I'm just going to use it here. No. Make sure someone else has done it, that they're going to put their stamp, that they stand behind it. Because guess what? Remember that insurance I was talking about? They have insurance as well. That covers them just in case they mess up with anything from delivery to pricing to payment to risks to warranties to defects to liabilities. Make sure you hire a lawyer. It's vitally important. Pay someone to do this. Now, privacy policy. This is getting intense these days. Right now, in this world, people are getting really aggressive about finally protecting their data. The public is growing concerns, and there's actually stuff going through Europe called the GDPR. It's going through and it's trying to protect it. If you have a data breach, which means you've done nothing wrong, but someone hacked your system and you have a data breach, you can get sued, which is why I store all of our data with a company, and it's their problem. So if they have a data breach, it's not on me, it's on them. Not on me. That reduces my liability. Did I come up with that idea completely on my own? No. Guess who did it? A lawyer. He sat down and he said, oh, you can't do this. That's going to get you in trouble. Let's not have you exposed. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And we changed things around. Again, please, for the love of everything holy, when I started this module, that's what I'm going to end this module with. Make sure you have the proper legal counsel. When you're doing a legal disclaimer, you need to also make sure. It's normally something really short. It's a paragraph. It talks about what can and cannot happen. But when we live in a world, when we tell people on an iron, when you buy an iron, it says, do not iron while wearing clothes. We live in a world where that had to be put on an iron. Can you imagine what they're going to do with your products? It's like, what? If you don't understand that you're not supposed to iron with your clothes on, then holy crap. So in this situation, please understand a disclaimer can save you. All right. So pay the lawyers, get them to do it, go from there. Now, when it comes to finance, keep it clear that your records are bulletproof. Now, how we do it here in the United States is once you open up a business account at most of the large banks, they will allow you to hire someone and give them access through what's known as accountant level access. So they will be able to remote access your business account, download all the information, but they cannot add or subtract funds. All they can do is view. And that allows them to A, not bother you because it's a pain in the butt, but B, to look at your books and send you updates. My accountants, yes, 2, go through and they audit this through accountant level access. So they keep books. And books are just basically copies of all of your financial records. It's called books. They go through and they do all this for you. This way you don't have to send anything to them, but you want to hire a professional, someone who is licensed, someone who is insured. Your neighbor Bob is not the person that does your books. You are not the person that does your books. Hire someone who's a CPA, so they have to go through and they have to do it. You want to make sure that someone is a CPA, not a CFP. Now, the difference is a certified public accountant versus a certified financial planner. Certified financial planners are garbage. They're completely useless. Do not use them. Certified public accountant, pull their credentials, talk to their other clients before you hire them, and then you give them view level access. So it's called accountant access. Please do that. It'll save you a ton of time. You didn't go to school to do this. Don't do it. Now, how do you get paid? Realistically, there's really, really simple ways to do it. Stay with PayPal or Stripe. I can tell you a bazillion different ways to get paid. These are the two that are the most reliable, PayPal and Stripe. Expect that you're going to have to pay a certain percentage and a fee based off how you're processing things, which I know you're like, what? I don't get all the money? No, they're going to take it. They're going to charge you processing fees. The more money you make, the less the processing fee will be. It's done on a percentage of sales. So these are the two that we use, PayPal and Stripe. They work really, really well. Do not go crazy and try this third party. No, PayPal and Stripe Really simple. If you're going to go through your bank, you're probably going to pay a significantly higher rate than PayPal or Stripe. So it's up to you on how you want to do that. So there are other ways to do it, like Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, Lemon. There's a bunch of different ways. Guys, stay with PayPal and Stripe. It's simple. It's easy. You can also do wire transfers and things about that, but just keep it really, really simple. So raising finance. I'm going to have a little bit of a rant here before I get into this. Do not raise finance. If you're in a position where you need to raise money, that shows me that you do not have the financial literacy enough to create your own capital, and you should not be doing it, okay? If you're like, well, I need $100,000, then you do not understand how to do business, and that idea that you have can be supported. Now, what do I mean by that? One of my clients wanted to sell very healthy, vegan-based chocolate bars, and they were amazing. They're all natural, and they were amazing. He's like, I want to do this. I was like, awesome. What do you need? He goes, I need about $800,000 for the warehouse and the supplies and the machinery and the packaging and the labeling and the branding. I'm like, awesome. He's like, I'm going to go talk to venture capitalists. I'm like, no, you're not. He's like, what? I go, you need to prove in the next 6 months that you can raise $800,000. He's like, you're out of your mind. I said, really? You raise $800,000 of your own money when that company does not work and it's failing and it's not doing well? How hard would it be for you to go do it again if you've mastered cash flow? He's like, oh. So he pushed his plans out 8 months. And we went through this whole process, and he raised the money he needed to do, and he was so much calmer because he learned certain skills. Most people think that, oh, well, I have this great idea and it's going to make me money. If you don't know how to run any business, then realistically, you don't know how to run any business, right? Does that make sense? If you can't raise cash flow without this specific product offering, then you have no right being in that situation, because what's going to happen is a VC is going to come in, or a venture capitalist is going to come in and say, I'll do this, just like you see on Shark Tank. Hey, I'll buy your business, I'll buy into it, but I want X percentage of ownership of your company, which basically means at the end of the day, I own your company. And I'm going to take it from you if it's super duper profitable. So be very careful when it comes to raising finance. There's lots of ways to do it. I do not recommend doing it in any way, shape, or form. Now, there's ways you can do it. You could do crowdfunding. Our team specializes on consistently delivering outstanding results, right? But in this situation here, you have to make sure that there's ways that you can do it, not just through venture capitalists. You can also do crowdfunding campaigns. They're super fun. Most crowdfunding campaigns, they don't think that you are required to give back that money, right? You could use GoFundMe. You can use, I can't pronounce that word. You can do that because they have different specializations, and they have the ability to protect. Now, GoFundMe guarantees and protects their beneficiaries from fraud, right? So there's different ways you can do this. Please do not do this. Do not go out and do crowdfunding. I'm begging you. If you haven't mastered the ability to produce cash flow, then you should not be doing this. Kickstarter is also a good one. Fundly is a good one. They all come with their benefits and they all come with their downsides, right? Really, really simple. So as you're doing this and you're coming through this, you have to make sure you look at their workbook. If you're going to do this, please don't do this. Please do not do crowdfunding. But if you are going to do this, I wanted to give you examples. But again, do not do this. Oh my God, please don't do it. There's tons of different ways to do this, guys. Tons and tons of different ways to get it. So when it comes to getting advice, the SBA, which is a Small Business Administration, works. In the UK, there's one. In Canada and Australia and Ireland. There's realistically these agencies everywhere in every single country that can help you do this. Again, please, for the love of everything holy, do not take out a loan to start a business. Take out a loan to buy a business. That is something very different because you're already cash flow positive. I have no problem with you buying a business, leveraging these administrations and these units and these things that are designed to help out. But going out and getting a loan to do is a horrible, horrible idea, and I do not recommend you doing it if you're doing to build a business. Doing it to buy, absolutely, I think it's a great idea. And that just comes from experience. I've seen so many people put their houses on the line in order to start a business, and they go to the SBA or whatever other things they can, and then they lose everything. So be very, very careful when you're doing that. So there's checklists that you have to go through, right? You have to go through and you hire a lawyer and say, listen, I need to talk about what entity I'm going to use. I'm going to talk about taxes. I'm going to talk about insurance. What am I going to do with partnership? How am I going to protect the product? Am I going to go on premise? Is it virtual? What are my terms? What are my conditions? You basically need to raise the money to hire a lawyer that you trust, which that is hard to do on its own, so you can get these things done. You want to make sure that before you sell to one person, you already have all of this established, okay? Once you check that checklist, then you need to make sure that you sit down when it comes to finance. How are you going to get paid? How are you going to raise finance? Again, if you haven't mastered cash flow, then you need to stop all of this and like, okay, how do I do a side hustle? How am I getting in a situation where I'm not going to take out a loan, where I can do this, and I've saved up a couple $1,000s to start doing drop shipping or trading or whatever else you're going to do to generate cash flow to move on from there. Now, once you're done with that checklist, we need to figure out what other things you have to add based on your country. Every country is different. If you're lucky enough to live in the United States, congratulations. Every state is different. There are certain laws in certain states that overwrite other states, and oh my God, it's a bloody nightmare. And it all depends on where you keep your residency. So please understand, hire a lawyer, hire a lawyer, hire a lawyer. That's the secret here, guys. If you haven't hired a lawyer or an accountant, if you're trying to do this on your own, you're out of your mind. Please, for the love of everything holy, please, please, please hire an expert. I did this exceptionally fast because I don't want you to think that this is the answer. I don't want you to think, oh, I saw this module. No, this is for educational, a very brief overview. Sit down with a lawyer, sit down with financial planners or financial accountants, sit down with taxes, with someone who understands taxes. Sit down with this. Don't go cheap on this. I guarantee you, if you do, it will bite you in the tush later down the road. Please hire an expert and get out of their way. I would much rather you spend significantly more on a lawyer that you don't think you can afford to get it done effectively. So I hope this was helpful. Again, hire a lawyer. This was for educational purposes. Hire an accountant. Just really brief overview. Enjoy the workbook, but please understand this is not replacement for legal advice. Okay, guys, I'll see you in the next one.